I'm Judge Penny Wolfgang. Welcome to The Big Picture. He's Erie County's top lawman, District Attorney John Flynn. Reporter Tony Flynn and I had a chance to catch up with him recently with his perspectives on everything from gun laws to fighting crime in our hometown. Right here, right now, on The Big Picture. Hi, welcome to The Big Picture. Today we are going to be having a conversation with District Attorney John Flynn about many issues important to us, all of us here in the community, relating to crime and the safety in the streets. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Judge.
District Attorney Flynn. We might as well just start out with the elephant in the room, and it's guns. Let's talk about gun legislation. Let's talk about guns on the streets. What is the district attorney's feelings about how the law has changed or how it should change?
Well, I think we all can agree, no matter what side of the aisle that you're on or what your political persuasion is, that there are way too many guns in our streets. This is true of every major metropolitan area in this country. But you know, let's be clear though. The problem that we're facing though are illegal guns, mainly illegal handguns that are in our streets right now. That is the number one crime and number one issue that district attorneys across the country face. Now, yes, are there crimes that occur that involve assault weapons and rifles? Absolutely. And we obviously had a tragic one here in Buffalo, over a month ago. But that doesn't give us the full picture. The full picture, if you want to look at gun violence from a 30,000 feet level, are the illegal handguns that are in our streets. And the only way that we're going to make a dent in that problem, is to unfortunately get as many handguns off the street as we can, and get the people who are using the handguns, who are the shooters, off the street. And that's how we're going to solve that problem.
Now, is that, when we talk about getting them off the street, it kind of comes back to our other discussion that everyone is having about the gun crimes and how they're being punished and the lack of serious sentences and bail?
Correct. So one of the biggest aspects of the bail reform that no one talks about is the addition of a third form of bail on all bail determinations by a judge. Back when you were a judge, there was only two, and it was always cash or bond, okay? It was, A and B, all right? That's it. When the bail reform legislation came out in 2020, in addition to what we all talk about on TV and all know about, which are the qualifying offenses and the unqualifying offenses, which are getting all the news, that's not the real problem when it comes to the violence on the street. Because the third form of bail now that has to be put on, which are unsecured bonds, what that's doing, it's making people get out easier. There's no longer a 10% upfront money on a bond now, okay? It lessens that 10%, sometimes to 5%, sometimes to a signature bond. And so people now are getting out easier on more serious charges. And that's the biggest problem.
And not only that, but the judges are not allowed, as you pointed out, to consider when they're setting the bail the fact that this is a gun, that this person is dangerous, that he's been charged with a gun before. So they're not allowed to look at the record. Have to set the most minimum bail that they can.
Correct.
And that causes problems.
You have the legislation in place which mandated the standard for all judges, and that standard is the least restrictive form of bail. So if a judge is, abiding by the law and abiding by the procedures and the guidelines, they have to put down the least restrictive form of bail. And when they do that, what that does, Judge, is that lowers the amounts. So 10 years ago on a gun charge, you were seeing $25,000, $50,000 bail, sometimes $100,000 bail, depending on what the guy did on a gun case. Now you're seeing $5,000, $10,000, sometimes no bail. So people now are getting out easier on gun charges.
And one more thing related to this is the raise the age, where we're treating young people as if they were kids, when in fact very often they're sort of young dangerous criminals.
Correct. They're very bad kids. And listen here, as a father of 5, I understand that a 16 and 17-year-old, their mind is not fully developed. I know that firsthand, believe me, okay, with 5 kids. But you got to recognize, though, that some 16 and 17-year-olds are at a really bad place in their life. And that bad place has put them into a situation where they are doing really bad things.
And that's sort of
And
how
they're
the world
shooting,
has changed.
and they're shooting, and they're getting shot, and they're carrying guns. And listen, I can tell you this: in order for me to keep a simple possession gun charge and not have it go to family court, I've got to make a motion. All right, Judge? I've got to make what they call an extraordinary motion. All right? In the almost 3-4 years now of raise the age, on a simple gun possession charge, no shooting, just a simple gun possession, I have not won one motion. I've lost every one. So they're all going to family court.
Meaning they've all gone to family court.
Correct.
Tony Farina's with us too.
Thank you, Judge.
Senator Farina.
Well, I just want to mention, John, of course, now you're in the second year of your second term as district attorney, chief law enforcement officer of Erie County. And I've covered DAs in my lengthy career, going back to Mike Dillon. And then, of course, your uncle Ed Cosgrove, Richard Arcara, Kevin Dillon,
Kevin Dillon, yeah.
Frank Clark.
Yep. Frank Sedita.
And not too much as Frank Sedita, because I had left him by that. But the times have changed so much from those days to Mike Dillon. Interviewing all those DAs all those years, I don't ever remember guns dominating any of our interviews. I mean, the world.
Guns are the biggest problem. Guns are, and again, I don't really understand why, quite frankly. I mean,
Is it drugs, John?
there are theories, but during COVID, pretty much crime in general went down for a number of reasons. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it's logical, all right? You know, DWIs went down to practically nothing because bars were closed for 6 months to a year. So no one was drinking and driving.
And people weren't out anyway.
And people weren't out. And that's not it. Burglaries were down. Because what happens with burglaries? People rob your home when you're not home. Everyone was home during COVID. So burglaries went down. Those are just 2 examples. But crime went down dramatically in all areas, except shootings and homicide, guns. That went up. And, you know, it's baffling why. But, yeah, guns are by far our biggest
Is
problem.
it because of so many families or people who are struggling with survival, different from what it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I'm saying. And now the guns are out there. Is it driven by the drug trade? Is that really behind it?
Well, it's part of it.
Now we've legalized marijuana. But
Yeah, it's part of it.
it's got to be a big part because nothing else has changed.
Well, there's a culture, though. There is a culture amongst young, mainly male African Americans, you know, that they want to have handguns, and you know, it's part of that culture that is pervasive in the inner cities all across this country, and the gun culture is causing havoc in our community.
No question. I remember. I mean, reporters like me and a few others who literally walked the streets for all those years, and I did. I walked the streets, and I never carried a gun, and I didn't really fear that I was going to get. If I got shot, I got shot. But I mean, I went everywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't know that. Of course, I couldn't do it anymore, but you couldn't do that today, could you?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think that's changed in that respect. In this kind of term right here, listen here. Put aside that I'm DA, all right? I would have no problem walking around on the streets, all right? The individuals who are getting shot and who are shooting, they know one another.
So they're
all right?
shooting each other?
Yeah. I mean, it's not random shooting out there. I mean, are there some instances where an innocent bystander gets shot? Absolutely, okay? But they're not random shootings. Everyone who gets shot, they know the person who shot them, okay? And they're getting shot over, yes, the drug trade. They're getting shot over stupid disagreements, like you disrespect my girlfriend on Facebook, and now I'm going to come and shoot you. So they're known to one another.
I want to talk a little bit about the cameras, how they have helped or hurt your cases, your ability to, the cameras that the police officers have, the cameras that are all over in,
yes.
in the streets, and the people having
Correct.
them, and everything is being watched, videos,
Yes.
and taped. How is that either helping or hurting the the district attorney?
I can't even begin to tell you how much it helps. Without video cameras out there in the world, we would not solve any crimes, okay? Especially shootings and homicides, because no one's talking. On pretty much every shooting that we have where the individual survives, which is also amazing to me too. I mean, you can't believe how many people survive gunshot wounds, okay? I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, ECMC does a great job. So the person gets shot, they go to ECMC, they get patched up, they walk out. Now we question them. What happened? Who shot you? I don't know. I didn't see. Well, I mean, of course you saw. Of course they know who shot you. I mean, you're 10 feet apart. But they don't talk. They don't talk. They don't tell us anything. We don't know. Without video cameras out there, we would never solve anything.
And I suppose that's helping a lot, and has helped a lot with our most notorious shooting ever that happened in Erie County. The fact that everything was on tape, that everything was videoed.
Yes, that's going to help tremendously.
We'll be back to continue our conversation with Erie County District Attorney John Flynn after this short break.